You don't have issues with setting boundaries. It's not hard for you to say no. It's not hard for you to not please. It's not because you feel unworthy or lack confidence or have imposter syndrome or are a pleaser, a good girl, etc. You don't have boundary setting issues. The issue you have is not daring to be authentic because you are operating from a shame-based identity that you have created as a little child to stay safe emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and to survive. True boundary setting is nothing more than being authentic, allowing yourself to be human, to express all that arises in the present moment. That means that if you feel completely unashamed for all that you are, and you allow all the parts of yourself to exist and to be present and to act upon your intuition, your feelings, your gut feeling, your knowledge, your wisdom, your opinions, your desires, your needs, that means you do not struggle with being authentic, and that means that you dare to be who you truly are wherever you are. But because of societal conditioning, cultural conditioning, religious conditioning, school conditioning, all the systemic conditioning, and familial trauma, emotional neglect, and relational trauma that we are experiencing as a little child and that we are carrying with us, we have to create a shame-based identity when we are little. We have to fragment our psyche and suppress all kinds of parts that we feel ashamed about, suppress desires, needs, suppress emotions, all because we felt it wasn't safe as a little child to express them. And because of that suppression, we created coping and protection mechanisms and an entire identity based on the shame and suppression of those parts to stay safe. And because of that, we struggle with being authentic in social settings, being authentic in relationships, being authentic in all kinds of environments, situations, friendships, romantic relationships, family, institutions like work, school, church, the grocery store, restaurants, etc., etc. We operate completely from a shame-based identity because of our past. And if you do not realize that, you will live on an automatic pilot and act from your shame-based identity, not truly being who you are, not truly being authentic, feeling unsafe, feeling unworthy, feeling ashamed, feeling scared, feeling secretly very angry, etc., etc., and keeping yourself imprisoned in that shame-based identity. But once you wake up to the realization that you are living from a shame-based identity, you can start your journey of awakening, healing, transformation, and empowerment. And then you can start to realize that a lot of your reactions, your character traits, your mechanisms in relationships and in life, and the way you react and respond to life is shame-based. And as long as you're operating from this shame-based identity, you're also operating from lack, from scarcity, from feeling unworthy, from the idea that you're not worthy of love and life. And as long as you're living from that lens, from that point of view, the world is an unsafe place. People are unsafe. You do not trust the world, you do not trust people, and you do not trust yourself. And as long as you're not trusting yourself and the world and the people around you, you feel constantly on guard, hyper-vigilant, hyper-attuned, and all your coping and protection mechanisms are activated all of the time, continuously. So you people please, you enmesh, you have no boundaries, you are afraid of sharing an opinion, you do not dare to say no when you feel like it, etc. All your protection mechanisms that keep you safe will be activated and triggered all the time. And if you're operating from that point of view, from that energy, then you believe you have to rigidly set boundaries all the time and close your heart and build walls and keep people out. But that is not the true essence of boundary setting. The true essence of boundary setting is actually nothing more than unshaming yourself and reversing emotional suppression, reversing the suppression of parts of yourself that you feel ashamed about, and feeling so free and confident and worthy and just like a beautiful human being on this planet, that you dare to be who you truly are, that you dare to express your authentic self, your opinions, your desires, your needs. You dare to completely express all that is living inside of you in the present moment without feeling guilty, ashamed, uncomfortable, scared, angry, sad, hurt. And when you dare to express your authentic self, and when you dare to listen to all the nudges, hints, intuitive hints, your gut feeling in the present moment, you don't have to suppress all those things that are being activated, that all that information all the time, and you can just live with it, act upon it, express it. That is when you start to set boundaries, which is nothing more than being authentic and express what is living inside of you in the present moment. But because we have been conditioned so much through societal conditioning, cultural conditioning, collective trauma, racism, sexism, oppression, capitalism, but also trauma inside the family home because of all that collective trauma and because of all that systemic oppression, we have been conditioned so much to be so afraid for all kinds of parts of ourselves, to feel so ashamed for our authentic self, or to not, we have not even been taught how to create a healthy sense of self, or how to play and stay childish in some ways, stay in awe and wonder of the world and yourself, and to investigate what is happening inside of you and to listen to it and to communicate what you need. We have been taught to suppress all of that from a very young age because of the way our systems are. I write about that in my ebook, Unshame Yourself, where I take you through the entire journey of awakening, healing, transformation, and unshaming yourself. You can download it for free. We've been conditioned so much to not listen to the truth that is living inside of us, to not create a healthy, authentic sense of self, but to adapt, to conform, to cope. And because of all of that, to suppress certain parts of ourselves, or a lot of parts of our authentic selves. And because of that, live in lack, in scarcity, feeling we're not worthy, feeling we're missing something, in depression, suppression, burnout, in survival mode, in stress and in survival mode. And we haven't been taught how to create a healthy sense of self, how to listen to the authority and the truth that is living inside of ourselves, how to listen to what shows itself in the present moment. So we feel unguarded, unprotected, because when we have to fight with ourselves internally in the present moment, because all the parts that come up, all the hints, all the feelings, all the ideas, desires, needs, wishes, interpretations, opinions, when we have to fight all of that and suppress all of that because we feel ashamed for it, or what if I express this and I will be rejected, abandoned, I will not survive. This is creating so much internal warfare. It is costing us so much energy. It is making us feel afraid, anxious. It is making us work so hard to be seen, validated, loved, recognized, and safe by the outside world. We were conditioned to give our power away, to give our center away, to give our authority away. We never learned to listen to the truth that is living inside of us, and that the truth that is living inside of us is worth investigating, worth acknowledging, worth communicating, worth negotiating about, etc. And because we haven't created this sense of self and this clarity and confidence that, hey, something is coming up and I can listen to that and I can communicate that, I can express that, I can be that, we don't feel protected. We don't feel safe because there's such an internal war going on inside. And the energy that we need to feel grounded, protected, boundaried, contained, we are actively suppressing because we have been taught to feel ashamed for that. We have been taught to fear it. For example, culturally spoken, women have been conditioned to fear their powerful energy, their anger energy, their clarity, their truth, their intuition. And culturally, generally spoken, men have been taught to fear and suppress and disown their vulnerable parts, their grief, their hurt, their sadness. But I see this also mixed up in my sessions, so it's not only gender-based, but generally spoken, this is the cultural conditioning. And if you have been taught to suppress your life force energy in all kinds of parts inside of yourself and to disown them out of shame, you are taking away your power. You are fragmenting your psyche. You are actively suppressing parts of your authentic self, which means you are actively suppressing parts of your life force energy. And suppressing parts of your life force energy means that you feel ungrounded, unprotected, hypervigilant, hyper attuned to the outside world, dissociated, wobbly, fearful, not powerful. You feel a little bit weak, you feel meek, you feel shy, you feel not whole, not integrated, not clear. And this is why I say you don't have boundary issues, you have authenticity issues. If you unshame yourself, if you unshame all the parts that you feel ashamed about, if you reverse emotional suppression, if you reverse the parts that you are actively suppressing because of childhood wounds, and you allow yourself to acknowledge all that is coming up in the present moment and to work with it, to act upon it, to listen to it, to feel it, to communicate it, to express it. You integrate all the fragmented parts and you own all those parts that you were suppressing and you unshame those parts. And then you free yourself. You free yourself. You actively feel that all the parts that you were suppressing out of shame, you don't have to do that. And when you reclaim all those parts, you feel whole again. You allow yourself to center yourself, to ground yourself, and to express and communicate what comes up in the present moment and work with it. And that is what true boundary setting is. Setting boundaries is not saying no all day, keeping everybody out, closing your heart, being very rigid or cold, or avoiding, hiding, masking. It is daring to be authentic. This can also mean daring to show vulnerability or hurt. But for a lot of people who have issues with boundary setting, who are people pleasers and meshers, codependents, they have a problem with suppressed anger and authenticity. And once they reverse their anger suppression, they finally feel the courage, the life force energy, and the clarity and truth inside of them. They own that again. And when they find that, they dare to express that and communicate that. And this can happen in a very soft and gentle way, but it's still boundary setting because it is being authentic. And problems with boundaries will disappear. And it asks for you to take a couple of steps to understand your childhood wounds, to understand your protection mechanisms, to understand what you are suppressing actively, what you feel so ashamed about and what you try to hide for the world the most. Because if you understand what you try to hide for the world the most, you understand what your true authentic self is, what your purpose is, what your desires are, what your needs are. If you dare to go there to those parts that you feel ashamed about the most and dare to acknowledge them, to own them again, to integrate them again, that is when you feel most powerful, most grounded, most contained, boundaried. You say yes to all that is living inside of you, and you say yes to life because of that. If you have any questions about this, put them in the comments. I will reply, or based on your questions, I will create new content because I love to do that. And in my ebook, Unshame Yourself, I've written down this entire process of awakening, healing, transformation, and unshaming yourself. Understanding what your shame-based identity is, where it's coming from, how it's created, and what you need to do to reverse the emotional suppression, to reverse authenticity suppression, and to reclaim and re-own the parts that you feel ashamed about so that you can live an amazing life, whole, fully integrated, unshamed, in your power. You find your voice and your life force energy will flow through you again. Download the ebook for free. And know that my platform, Yelp Psychology, is tailored for this entire journey. All my tools are there that could help you with this entire journey. But I also have a group. It's called Anger Alchemy. We start with a new group in the end of August 2025, but we will have new groups after that also, together with my friend and colleague or team member Iris Savonai. She's a body-centered therapist. And in that group online workshop series, we're going to reverse emotional suppression, unshame all the parts that you are actively suppressing, making contact with the anger energy you need to feel most alive, most contained, grounded, confident, and authentic in this world. So you're not having problems with boundary setting. You are having problems with being authentic. And once you realize what is blocking you from being authentic, that is where true freedom lies. Thank you for being here, making it this far, and see you in the next.